The year is 1939. World War II had just begun, and many women were taking factory jobs in place of men fighting in the military. Lots of advertising was done to try and bring more and more women into the workforce. Throughout the war, approximately 6 million women were in the workforce and making a weekly average of $31.21 or $657.19 today. Women mainly worked factory jobs. Some of the factories they worked at were Hilrich and Bradsby Company, where they made bats for soldiers. Another job women had was working in service industries. Women could finally make a living besides teaching or staying at home, up until the war ended. On September 2nd, 1945, when World War II ended, men began coming back to their factory jobs and working with women. Though very soon inequality would begin to be noticed. As more and more men came back, it was clear that men were being paid more than women for the same amount of work. Esther Peterson, a teacher from Provo, Utah, who started her teaching career in an all-girls private school in Boston, but by the end of World War II, she became the first lobbyist for the National Labor Relations Board in Washington, D.C. In 1948, the State Department offered her husband a position as a diplomat in Sweden. While she lived in Sweden, she worked as part of the women's committees of the Swedish Confederation of Trade Unions and the International Confederation of Free Trade Unions. When she returned in 1957, she worked as the first front desk lady worker of the Union Department of the AFL-CIO and helped with Kennedy's Utah campaign while he was running for president. When he was elected in 1961, Peterson was appointed head of the Women's Bureau in the Department of Labor. For many months before the signing, many women have been edging for an act. Some of these women are Esther Peterson, Catherine St. George, and Edith Green. On June 10, 1963, inside the Oval Office, John F. Kennedy signed an act in front of many women who had been fighting for change. Peterson, St. George, Green, etc. They were all there. The Equal Pay Act was passed to keep business owners from paying women less, but there was a significant amount of backlash from businesses and the public alike. Employers wanted to keep their old ways of treating men superior, so they came up with a way to get away with breaking the law. The owners would change the name of men's jobs to something that sounded more important so that they could pay them more, even though women were doing the same job. Changes had been made, but some people refused to follow the rules, which deemed this act successful and unsuccessful. For the next 20 years, Esther Peterson worked as a voice for consumers within the White House and food industry until she died in 1997. Even though many women fought for equal pay, it didn't end as they wanted it to. After the Equal Pay Act, women had to keep fighting for equal pay for many years. In the 80s, the term Raises Not Roses came to be. It was an affiliation to the show Women Who Work, created by Grace Hutchins. The most recent act signed was the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act of 2009, which stated, "Each paycheck that delivers discriminatory compensation is a wrong actionable under the federal EEO statutes." Even though there were many years of protests and fighting, women only make 83.7% of what men make in 2023, but this is still progress compared to women making 60% of what men made back in the 50s. The Equal Pay Act was a turning point because it made many women and other people realize that they could fight for their rights, and this continued for many years to come.